Hey everybody, Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, and today, you know her, you hate her, we have Braids, Cabal Minion, in Braids token stacks. And without further ado, let's get into it, right? So Braids, as we all know, recently came off the ban list and is now a game changer. She is a 2/2 for 4 and has at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. And that's pretty much it. She's kind of a jerk. Everybody hates her. I certainly have had some unfun times with her before. I've not added her into any decks yet, but I figured some sort of awful deranged individual out there would love to have her in their deck. So, you know what? I threw something together. This is going to focus a little bit of tokens to get it so we can sacrifice some things without being punished as badly as our opponents. So, let's get into it, right? We got two planeswalkers here. We got Liliana, Dreadhorde General. She +1s creates a zombie, a 2/2 zombie, and whenever a creature you control dies, you draw a card. And -4 is each player sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice, and -9, if you can get there, because it is a 6-drop. Each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. Then we also have Liliana of the Veil. She, does the whole thing with each player discards a card, each player sacrifices a creature, and you can separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. They sacrifice all in one of the piles of their choice. For creatures, you're going to notice a theme here. We do have the upcoming Bitter Blossom creature from Lorwyn Eclipse. We have a Cursed Marauder and a few creatures like it in this deck, so that way we can have an enter the battlefield trigger to sacrifice things. We have Blood Artist, so whenever this creature or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. We got Blood Gas, so you can bring it back. We have the other Braids, Arisen Nightmare, which is at the beginning of your end step. You may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land, and this is a may. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent of their choice that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. We got Crypt Gas to let your swamps tap for double. Dread Presence, whenever a swamp enters the battlefield, you can draw a card and lose a life, or deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. We got Gary in here doing Gary things. Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia, which is like Ophiomancer, but he summons a 2/2 black zombie with Decayed. And then, of course, Ophiomancer, who puts a Snick into play. We have Opposition Agent to punish our opponents if they try to search for or tutor any kind of removal or answer to your Braids. We have Orcish Bowmasters if they try to draw too many cards to answer your Braids. Also, Orcish Bowmasters does create an army, which creates a convenient token sack outlet to your Braids, so that way, you're not really hurting while your opponents are having to sacrifice their things. We have Phyrexian Obliterator, a classic card, and you can't really run it too much outside of mono black, so we have it in here. And it's whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. We have Plague Crafter, which is just like our earlier Accursed Marauder. When he comes into play, each player sacrifices a creature. Anybody who can't, or Planeswalker, anybody who can't, discards a card. We have Reassembling Skeleton, so you can sack it and then you can bring it back. We have Sangromancer, which is flying, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3 life, and whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. We have Sheoldred in here, the newest one, and this is from March of the Machines. And when Sheoldred enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. She has Menace. And then you can exile her, activate as a sorcery, and only if an opponent's graveyard has 8 or more cards in it. And then her saga form is, for each opponent, destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that player controls. And then each opponent discards 3 cards, then mills 3 cards. And then you can put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, and then it flips back into Sheoldred. She's pretty strong, and I used to run her as the commander of my Sheoldred deck before I switched into Sheoldred the Apocalypse, because I'm a terrible person. Sheoldred the Apocalypse, of course, is barely needs an introduction, but one thing she does need is a bunch of reprints, because she's apparently here $90 on Card Kingdom. And here, I'll move up a little bit. So, Sorry, my thing on OBS isn't showing it, but she is $90, $89.99 on Card Kingdom. She has Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life, and whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life, punishing your opponent for just playing the game. Sad Robot, you know, he's going to get you a basic land, and then you sack him to Braids to draw a card. And then we have Tegrid. You're never, ever going to do Tegrid's Lantern. I mean, I suppose there's a reality where it might have a use, but don't do it, friends. You're instead going to play Tegrid God of Fright, which is at the very top of the salt list on EDH Rec. And, you know, you've got Menace, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Yes, he is awful, and, you know, lots of people get very mad at Tegrid. For our sorceries, we have Army of the Damned, which, yes, is an 8-drop and a flashback for 10, but it does give you 13 tapped 2/2 zombie creature tokens, which are some great sack outlets. We do have Bubbling Muck, which is until end of turn. Whenever a player taps a swamp for mana, it produces an additional black. It is High Tide, but for black, and is a sorcery here. We have Damnation, which is, you know, just Black Wrath of God with an amazing art. Mutilate. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. We have Pox. Oh, good old Pox. Each player loses a third of their life, then discards a third of their cards in their hand, then sacrifices a third of the creatures they control, then sacrifices a third of the lands they control. Round up each time. Then we have Smallpox. Each player loses 1 life, discards a card, sacrifices a creature, and sacrifices a land. We have Torment of Hailfire. Repeat the following process X times. It's an X mana spell for X and double black. And each opponent loses 3 life and, unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. We also have Toxic Deluge. For instance, we have Dark Ritual. You know, help you get your Braids out early. We have Defile. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. Dismember, a nice little removal spell. Fel the Profane can both be removal and a land. Flare of Malice is removal. Liliana's Triumph. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control Liliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. Not dead after all. Until end of turn, target creature you control gains when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a Wicked Roll token on it. There's a couple of cards in here, this and Undying Malice, to help you bring creatures back that you sacrifice to your own Braids. We also have Saw in Half, kills the thing, makes 2 of them. Do it to your zombies to create more sack outlets. Sheoldred's Edict. Each opponent can sacrifice a non-token creature, or a creature token, or a planeswalker. Then we have 13 artifacts in here. Most of these are going to be mana rocks. So, like I said, we have our Arcane Signet, our Soul Ring, Soulstone, which is both a mana rock and also a Reanimator target. And it is still $75, which is unfortunate. We have the Darkness Crystal. We have Jet Medallion in here. And then for some utility... we also have Dowsing Dagger in here, which turns into a Lotus Veil. We have Extraplanar Lens and Cage Sun in here to double our black mana. We have Cauldron of Souls, which is choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gains Persist until end of turn, which for those of you who don't know, Persist is whenever it dies, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter. Helps you counteract the sacrificing that you're going to do with your own Braids. We do have the One Ring to give you protection because people are going to come for you. They will. There is no way around it. And then we have Smokestack. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a Soot counter on Smokestack, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each Soot counter on Smokestack. It is one of the OG Stax pieces. Then we have Enchantments. So in here, we have a little bit of our token generation to help us with our own sack outlets. So we have Bitter Blossom, Dread Horde Invasion, and Waste Not for that. Waste Not revolves around discarding. So whenever an opponent discards a creature card, you get a 2/2 black zombie. Whenever they discard a land card, you get 2 black mana. And whenever they discard a non-creature card, non-creature, non-land card, you draw a card. We have Grave Pact, so whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. Phyrexian Arena, an OG draw card. Contamination makes it so players Lands only tap for black because, you know, if we're going to go whole hog into being a jerk, may as well. Bottomless Pit, which is from Stronghold. It is an enchantment that during each player's upkeep, that player discards a card at random. They don't get to choose, it's random. And yes, this hits you too. The Meathook Massacre, and then Black Market, which is whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add a black mana for each counter on Black Market. For our lands, we are running quite a bit of really good stuff in here. We are running 28 swamps. We have Urborg. We have Phyrexian Tower, which is a legendary land, obviously. We have Cabal Stronghold, which you tap 3 and tap it to add a black for each swamp you control. Cabal Coffers, it is tap 2, and it adds a black for each swamp you control. And then Volrath Stronghold, which is put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. But more importantly in here, I do have Thespian Stage and Vesuva, which you can use to copy your Cabal Coffers or Cabal Stronghold, because neither of these are legendary lands, which sounds like an oopsie doodle on Wizard's part. Lets you create lots and lots of mana for things like your Torment of Hailfire or your Meathook Massacre. Well, that was my Braids Cabal Minion deck. I know that there's probably somebody out here who's made this or interested in it, so I figure I would do it. Let me know what you think of this commander in the comments down below, and let me know just how fast you think you would die at a table if you sat down and be like, hey guys, my commander's Braids, and I'm going to be staxing you today. I can guarantee you're probably going to be first out if they're allowed to play the game. But as always, I am Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.